I'm here at BYU's Lavelle Edwards Stadium. You can see behind me on a snowy day. We like the snow because we don't get hardly any rain in the summer. We depend on this snow and this snowpack during these winter months to provide us the water that we need throughout the rest of the year. We need it for irrigation, we need it for drinking, and all sorts of other purposes. Unfortunately, because of climate change and other possible reasons, we have been in a mega drought for many, many years. This drought is really historically the greatest drought that we've had in centuries in this part of the world. Other regions of the world are also experiencing droughts, and it's a real problem. We need to find ways to conserve the water that we have. It's essential that we do that. It's essential we do that in agriculture, where we use most of the water, quite frankly, but also in the urban landscape. This sports field like the one behind me, golf courses, my home lawn, your home lawn. We need to do a better job of conserving water. So how do we do that? The problem is that people want to get rid of our plants. In sports fields, they want us to switch over to artificial grass, which quite frankly has got some serious problems. I'll talk about that in another video, another day. These plants, though, we need them. I personally don't want to live in a concrete jungle. I don't want to have a rock lawn if I don't have to. I like plants. There are so many reasons why we need plants. We need them for several dozen reasons, including aesthetics, which we like. We also like them for the opportunity we have for recreation. We like them in terms of the cooling that they have, reducing that heat island effect that we have in cities. They provide oxygen for us to breathe. They sequester carbon out of the air. That is part of the reason we have climate change, the big part of what we pull that carbon dioxide out of the air and put it into the ground, which is a good thing. Plants are good at doing that, and grass is particularly good at doing that. We have 2 to 3 times more organic carbon in grass sod than we do in most other places in the landscape. Water conservation starts with the landscape design. I need to choose plants that are going to not need very much water. Now, I might have some places in the landscape where I have high water using plants, like my vegetable garden, for example, or maybe I have a special tree that I really like and I want to use that. But in general, we ought to try to choose plants that don't take much water. That also applies to the grasses that we choose. We need to choose species such as Bermuda grass that require less water than, say, Kentucky bluegrass whenever possible. And even within those species, there will be varieties that will require less water than others. And those are things that we can choose to do as we're building that landscape. Also, with regard to design, I need to have the proper irrigation design. I need to have a knowledgeable irrigation expert help me design that system. For example, I want head-to-head coverage. I need to think about how I have maximum uniformity throughout the landscape. I want to use less overhead irrigation and more drip wherever possible, especially next to buildings and next to roadways and sidewalks, where I can avoid some water that ends up on those hardscapes and just runs down the gutter. So if I can do that, that would help. The next thing I need to think about is maintenance. I need to be maintaining my irrigation system every year. Things just start falling apart. For example, after a winter, we get frost heaving that tips sprinkler heads over. We need to get those straightened back up so that we get good uniformity. We need to use the proper irrigation nozzles and heads when we're doing replacements. We need to fix leaks. We need to do so many other things in order to keep that system working well. Okay, when I have my design, everything's good. The next thing is I have to decide how often and how much to water. It really starts though at the early spring. I need to get my system turned on, make sure everything's working right, and then I need to shut it off. Why? I want to stress my grass. I want to stress my grass because it sends a physiological signal to that plant to grow deeper roots, which is going to pay dividends later in the summer. Okay, so how do I know my grass is stressed? It looks dark green or even gray. When I step on it, it doesn't bounce back. Sometimes it'll stress in one part of the grass and not in another. So you might have to drag a hose out there and give a little bit of water just so that everything gets caught up. Once everything is stressed, I need to turn the system back on, let it water and kind of let it recover a little bit, and then I want to repeat the process. I like to stress it twice and before I really begin my irrigation throughout the rest of the growing season. And then how often do I water? Well, I want to water deeply and infrequently. Not every day like most people do. I want to water every 2 days, maybe at the closest, and that's in the hottest part of the summer. In the spring and in the fall, we might be watering every 5, 10, 15 days. We would want to water that so that the grass can dry down a little bit. We want oxygen in the root zone. We want respiration gases to escape out of the root zone. So there's many reasons why we want to do that. We can just get a better, healthier system. Plus, we are growing deeper roots and we're using less water. Master Yoda apprentice here, talking about water conservation. One of the biggest problems we have in the urban environment with wasted water is the fact that many people are running their sprinklers when they don't need to. It has been raining all day, the temperatures are cool, it's now snowing, the soil is saturated. There is no need to run the sprinkler. The problem is that people have automatic sprinkler systems that run every day without regard to the weather. But we have these great new technology items called smart controllers that you can buy, typically less than $100. They're often subsidized by the city or the water district or whatever, and you can get one of those and install it, and it can factor in whether or not you need to run the water, and it'll turn it on when it's dry, and when it's not, it'll shut it off. The other thing we need to think about in terms of water conservation is all of the other practices: fertilizer, pest management, mowing, all of those things. Healthier plants equal better water use for plants. For example, mowing. If I mow too short, I get shallow roots and I use more water. So there's a lot of things. One of the most important of these things is nitrogen fertilization in the fall, especially the late fall. I need to have enough nutrition in the fall for those roots to grow so that it can put away storage for winter. It's going to pay dividends the next summer because I'm going to have deeper root system. Hey guys, it's important to save water in our landscapes. It's going to give us a healthier planet, but also healthier plants and a healthier you.